What's going on, y'all? Y'all are here for part 3 of the testimony video. Let's get it. This is the end. This is the final countdown. Yeah, in our last video, we talked about the steps leading up to the exit for North Carolina. In this video, we talk about what it was like to actually be in North Carolina. So I hope y'all are ready. Let's get into it. I remember the Lord was like, you have a choice. You're either gonna go or you're gonna stay. I remember crying. I remember not knowing what to do. I knew what to do, but I was like, this doesn't make sense. Like, I can't go. Like, I have nothing lined up for me. And what was scary about it, I was like, if I go, I might end up sleeping in my car again because I had no place. And I did not want to sleep in my car. Like, it was something about sleeping in my car, not that broke me, but made me so vulnerable. I could have been harmed at any moment. Because there were parts as well where like I was sleeping, like people would like be on the car, but I had favor and protection. I had protection. I remember even a police officer seeing me one day, and I had my knife in my hand. Cause I was like, look, I gotta protect myself. Like if anybody pop up, like I'm ready. He just knocked on the window. I remember him just saying like, are you okay? Are you safe? Okay, bet. Want to make sure you're good. Drove off. I was like, that's favor. Like, I'm a black man in suburbs at nighttime, protected. But I didn't want to go down to North Carolina homeless. But by faith I went. Obviously I'm here. It was crazy. And I just remember my first week of div school. Everyone was so happy, so excited. I didn't want to be there. I was pissed. I was sad. I was angry. I was grieving, ultimately. I was grieving while everyone was happy to start a new journey. I was grieving because I left everything behind and no one knew. I left everything behind. I left the very life, the very person I once knew to be who the Lord was calling me to be. In a place I had never been before, a foreign place with nothing. I had to give up a lot of things to come down. I came down with just my car, my dog, and and like 2 suitcases. That's all I had. I kid you not, that's all I had. I had 2 suitcases, my dog's crate, his food, my dog. That's it. That's all I had. I just remember one day going to the chaplain's office, just crying because I was like, I left everything. And even then, like people were like, okay, like, well, you just wanna like do this or do that? And I was like, I feel like the Lord's calling me to Charlotte. So even in my darkest place, I had faith that the Lord was calling me to a place. Cause I was like, I'm not gonna give up on the Lord. He spoke a word. I'm gonna keep speaking that thing over myself, even if I don't see it. Remember just having faith, like knowing that the Lord was calling me to Charlotte. I said, okay, I'll get to Charlotte eventually. I'll get to Charlotte eventually. But yeah, I remember immersion week ending. The last day, I was like, okay, I have faith the Lord will make a way. And I ended up having to sleep in my car. I remember the Lord was like, what if this is what I have for you? That's not what I wanted to hear. What do you mean? To be in my car again? I was frustrated. But I went. And this time I was more emboldened and I was more confident because I had been here before already. And I knew that the Lord had protected me then when I was doing this very same thing again. I was in my car doing homework for Old Testament, yeah. Reading Deuteronomy and Joshua, talking about Deutero history, authors and whatnot. In my car with my dog. I have videos, literally. Remember doing homework in my car. Remember then someday, someone called me and was like, hey, like there's an opening coming up in Res Life here at Duke. You should apply. This ended up being the job that provided for me. It provided food and it provided free housing because I was in Durham. I wasn't in Charlotte yet. It didn't look how I thought the Lord would provide, but He provided. I had free meals. I had all that I needed. I was like, Lord, thank you. And I had my own space, and my dog could stay. I didn't need an ESA, I didn't need anything. I was like, okay, bet, this is favor. And my boss, they were so understanding because I told them, I was like, look, I'm still looking for jobs. Like, I'm called to Charlotte. This is a pit stop. They were like, I understand. And I was like, that's the Lord here. But even during that time, yeah, like, It was a GA shift. It was not full-time employment, so it was a stipend. That stipend, it was something. It wasn't the best, but it was something, and I'm not gonna complain about it, nor did I when I was there. It was more than I had. But in that, I was still looking for jobs and whatnot. So I was like, okay, like, I'm gonna even just look for jobs in Durham, Chapel Hill, the Triangle area, while I still wait on things in Charlotte. So I'm applying for jobs, getting more denials, and interviews, but nothing really shaping up. It was what it was. And I remember applying to some more jobs because I was like, well, these finances aren't enough. Like, I need more than this stipend from this GA ship. I applied for this job at Duke. And I remember I had open availability. It's a key thing for this story. Open availability. Open as can be. I got to this interview and whatnot. People were like, this is a fairly easy job to get and whatnot. Like, they actually like students from this program. I applied, got the interview. They emailed me back. And they're like, hey, we can't take you because you don't have any availability. I was like, there's no way. I remember the Lord was like, because I'm going to provide for you. I'm going to make a way. I was like, this is crazy. So even in this, the Lord was still like letting doors stay shut because he had a place for me. It's gonna make sense. Because then I applied for another job. And I got the job and I took it. I said, Lord, I'm taking the job. I took the job. And in taking it, because I had learned from my mistakes in Connecticut and being hasty, and I remember submitting everything to the Lord. I said, Lord, if you don't want me to have this job, because my first day of work was coming up, I said, I'm going to work. But if you don't want me to be here, let me not be able to enter the building. There's a story as to why I could not have entered that building, but I won't share that. There's very few folks who know. I was like, wow, I can't enter. I remember even like getting I emailed my boss and I was like, hey, like I can't come. Like I'll be right back though. And I remember she emailed me back. She said, hey, like, actually you can't start today. And I was like, that's crazy. Like, and then I'm so frustrated. I was like, Lord, like, why are you not helping me? Like, I'm looking for provision. I'm looking for jobs. I'm putting myself out there. Like, I'm trying to take care of myself. Like, what is going on? And as I'm walking, I remember him saying, remember what you asked of me. You said, if this isn't my will for you, to not let the door open. I remember just being so just amazed. I was like, this is crazy. Remember that didn't work out. And I just remember, I said, okay, I'm not going to look for a job anymore. Just putting my head down and just being in the books. Put my head down in Durham. Gave it my all, just locked in. I couldn't get comfortable. I remember it was now the end of the semester. I just felt like a prompt to start looking for jobs again. I remember looking for jobs. It was December of 2024. I'm applying for jobs again. And I come across about 4 jobs. There's one I applied to that I really, really liked. I really wanted. There was one that I saw at UNC Charlotte that I was not going to apply to. But the deadline was the next day. I was either applying to this job in December or January, I can't remember. But the deadline was coming up. Like the deadline was like coming up. And I was like, okay, I feel like the Lord's telling me to apply for this job. Didn't want to, but I got it done. I applied for it. I just, in my spirit, I knew that this was my job. I was like, that's you, big bro. So I'm praying on things and whatnot. And I'm getting interviews. I got an interview. Like, oh, shoot. I had a dream that I had gotten an interview. And in this dream, I had an email that I had gotten a job. Not I had gotten a job, I had gotten an interview. And something in my soul was like, go check your email today. I checked my email, and I was like, okay, like, you have an interview. I was like, oh my gosh. This was an assistant director position. That is so important. The reason why, so the Lord told me the next job that I got would be at the director level. And I would be back in the city and everything. The Lord is so faithful. Did not know how it would happen. Did not know when, but here he is just blowing my mind. As I look back now, it was all the Lord. Like, it was so crazy. Got this interview, but just feeling intimidated, still feeling crushed. So I was like, I don't really feel qualified, nor do I really like, I felt like the enemy was trying to distort my vision of seeing it, and I wasn't excited. I was just like, okay, I'm just going through the motions. But I ended up doing well, got to a second round and invited to the campus, but there was opposition along the way. But even in it, I remember again telling the Lord, like, Lord, because there comes a part in your walk where you don't want anything that's not of the Lord. That's the level I had grown in. I was like, Lord, if this is the job that you have for me, I need you to speak. And Psalm 46 is an important chapter, and Psalm 46:10 in particular is important to me because that was the verse the Lord was trying to get me to understand in Connecticut. Be still and know that I am the Lord. And I just remember it was then getting further. Just remember in the interview process and whatnot. And I remember I think this was the day I got a dream. I got a dream that I got a job. Okay, that other dream was about something else. This day I got a dream that I got a job. So it was my current supervisor now. I knew I had a job, but she was like, hey, like, I want to set up a meeting with you, blah, blah, blah. And I remember, I was like, okay, Lord, if this is it, I'll take it and whatnot. I remember the verse of the day was Psalm 46:10. And I was like, okay. The rest is history. It was a year before things came to pass. And it was many years before I got to North Carolina. It was over maybe 4 years before I got to North Carolina. That was a promise of the Lord. It took years for things to make themselves evident. But I just trusted the Lord. And I just want to tell someone, like, just trust him, like, through everything. Like, he's faithful. And, like, I'm just even gonna give you like helpful things to like armor yourselves with as you go through like the waiting period. Like, first of all, like, you gotta get in that word. You have to get in your word. Like, you have to like find scripture to combat every lie of the enemy, because the enemy is going to be so loud. Get in that word. Be in prayer. Pray. You're not begging God to do a thing. He's gonna do it. You don't beg God. You're a child. You're his son. You're his daughter. If he promised you a thing, it's going to happen. But seek him. He might be trying to do something in you. And I had to learn to wait. I had to learn to let go of like having things. Because I put my identity in what I had. So to be in a season where I didn't have a job, where I didn't have employment, where I didn't have finances, I had to learn to say, like, that's not my identity. Like, the Lord wants to do a work in you, because man looks at the outside, but God looks in here. God is preparing you for the very place that he's calling you to go into. I'm sure nothing is going to be wasted. Learning to wait like this, learning to worship while I wait, learning to hear his voice. I learned all those things here. Couldn't learn them in any other seat. The foundation is laid. God might be trying to lay a foundation for you. What you're despising, God's like, no, this is good. This is building you. This is answering a prayer. This is getting you to where you want to be, but you don't see it. And I just want to encourage you to like stop looking with your natural eyes. Look with the eyes of the Spirit and profess what the Lord has spoken over you. It's not delusion. It's not delusion, because if God has confirmed a thing to you, then faith is what you use to partner with him. Worship while you wait. Worship while you wait. I grew in worship while I waited. Because worship is not about what I have. It's about who he is. I want to encourage you to grow in that area. Surrender. If you're going to be waiting on a promise, if you're in wilderness, even if you're in abundance, you still need surrender. Surrender is how God works. You have to yield to him in order for him to take that thing and do what he wants to do with it. And be encouraged. Like, the Lord's faithful. He's gonna do it. I know it might be rough right now. I know everyone might be telling you he's going to do it too. And you're like, I've heard this before. I've had faith. Oh, Lord, are you going to do it for me? Blah, blah, blah. He's not a man that he should lie. Just trust him. You got this. You're loved by God. Be encouraged. Yo, you made it to the end of the part 3 testimony video. And not only that, I hope you watch these in order, because if so, you made it to the end of the entire Crazy Obedience series. I am so glad that you walked with me on this journey. Look, this series, this YouTube channel was not for the big likes, subscriptions, shares, and to blow up and go popular. It was just an act of obedience. And I hope that by watching my story, it leaves you just encouraged. Whether you find yourself waiting on a promise, whether you find yourself feeling like God is not hearing you, or whether you find yourself having to do something crazy that makes no sense to anyone else, look, I lived it. Be encouraged. God is with you. Yeah, there's an old school song that I grew up back in the day. If you know it, you know it. It go, God is able to do just what he said he would do. Dun, 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 dun. He's gonna fulfill every promise to you. How we go? Don't give up on God, 'cause he won't give up on you. Huh? He's able. Look, he's able, bro. He's able. Lock in. Lock in. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid. Nah, just trust the process. But look, although this is the end of this Crazy Obedience series, I hope you know that we got more in store. I already have our next video ready and locked in. The Holy Spirit been chatting with me. It's going to be an interesting video right there. But y'all, it's Ear on the Move. Like, share, subscribe. Follow me on socials. Peace.